What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the H Panel and happy Bell Let's Talk Day. I'm your host, Harry Potvin, and this is the show where we bring on guests from all different backgrounds to talk all the things mental health. I know I said I was only going to post twice every other week, but we're about to do twice every week. You know why? Because I have some amazing guests that I really want to show you guys, and I'm very excited for you to listen to these episodes. If you've stuck with me this long, I really appreciate you, and please keep the conversation going by liking, commenting, subscribing, giving 5 stars, whichever platform you're on. Share with a friend who might need to hear this episode. Let's keep this conversation going. So for this episode of the show, I'm joined by Brenden Kumarasamy. Brenden is the founder of MasterTalk, a YouTube channel that he uses to help viewers master the art of public speaking. Through techniques that he has adopted and past experiences, Brenden makes YouTube videos to help purpose-driven entrepreneurs achieve their goals and communicate their ideas to the world. If you have trouble public speaking or even, talking face-to-face, this is the episode for you. And I want to thank Brenden again for coming on and having this discussion with me. Also, the 2 best quotes that I picked out for this episode. The first one I've got here is, "The most important thing about life is figuring out what to do with it." Ain't that the truth? And the second one here that I really find fitting for Bell Let's Talk Day: "It only takes 5 seconds of intense courage to make a huge change in your life." I really love that quote, and it's so true. For Bell Let's Talk Day, guys, and for every day after, let's keep these conversations going so that we can reduce the stigma around mental health and really, normalize having struggles and being human, pretty much. That's enough from me, guys. I'll let you enjoy the episode. I'll see you guys next time. Peace. I'm Harry Potvin, and this is the H Panel.
What's up, Harry?
What's going on, man?
Good, brother. How about yourself?
Not bad, not bad. Doing as much as I can, There's not much
That's the
to
key,
do.
man.
Where are you from again?
I'm from Montreal.
Oh, nice, a Canadian.
What about? Are you from Montreal?
I'm from Ontario. My family's from Montreal, but I'm from Ontario.
Oh, cool. Are you Québécois?
Yeah, I am.
Ah, ok, cool. Donc, on peut faire le podcast en français, coudon.
Oh, wait, no.
No, no, I'm kidding. I thought you were from the UK. Okay, cool.
No. I would, but none of my viewers speak French. They'd be like, what the fuck?
No, because I noticed your name was Harry. I was like, that's definitely a London name. It's like Harry Potter.
I get that all the time.
Yeah.
I get Harry Potter all the time. In grade 4, actually, I remember this because my initials were the same, and Harry Potter is close enough to Harry Potvin.
So shit, you're right. It's the same. I didn't even notice the last name part. You're right.
Yeah. So all the girls were like, "Oh my god, are you Harry Potter?" And I was like, "Finally, I can get some girls." So,
yes. Is that what the podcast is about? Is that what?
Yeah. It's me proving that I'm Harry Potter.
Yeah,
it's my podcast.
Oh man, good stuff, man. That's cool. I don't meet a lot of Canadians whose name is Harry.
Yeah, I've noticed it's a big UK name. I hear that a lot. Yeah. My school had like 5. My soccer team.
Did you go to school in Montreal or in Ontario?
Ontario. Yeah, I've lived in Ontario my whole life.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah. My like half my family, my dad's side lives out there where you are. We won't be able to go there because COVID. So, but yeah.
Shit.
How is lockdown in Quebec? I don't know anything about what they're doing over there.
It's pretty similar to you guys. You can't really move. But I mean, it's Canadian police. What are you going to do? Like, they're just they're going to throw maple syrup at you like it's cool, but it's not.
They're going to be like, "Please stop." And I'm like, "Okay."
Like, all right. They'll probably give you like a $7 fine. It's like, it's fine.
They'll hug you out.
Yeah, they'll just no at a distance. It's like a virtual.
Right, of course. They'll do the motion.
Just like.
Oh man, that's funny. So first off, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate you reaching out and you agreeing to do this podcast.
Of course, man.
So I wanted to get into a little bit about yourself and kind of what inspired you to start up MasterTalk and what MasterTalk actually is.
For sure, dude. Yeah, did you want me to start now?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't know. Yeah, for sure. So my name's Brenden, and I started a YouTube channel called MasterTalk, which is to help people with their communication skills. What happened essentially? So when I was in university, I used to do these things called case competitions. Think of it like professional sports, but for nerds. So other guys my age were playing football or rugby or soccer or things clearly not well equipped to do. I applied that same competitive spirit, but to presentations. So
Mm.
for 3 years, I did many of these competitions in Ontario and Quebec for 3 years. Presented hundreds of times, coached dozens of people on their communication skills. And by the time I graduated and I got a job in the corporate world, I just asked myself a simple question, which is how do I make a difference in the world? And that's when the idea for MT came to be, because I realized that a lot of the communication content online sucked. You got advice like, "Oh, Harry, you should like be yourself," or "You should like post online." I was like, "Wait, what? What's all this nonsense?" So I started making videos in my mother's basement. One thing led to another, and the rest is history.
Love it, man. I'm in my mother's basement right now.
That's sick. Same.
I love it. I completely agree though. There's some stuff out there that like you watch, you're like, oh my god, like it's painful. They
It
just don't
is.
know how to like communicate, I guess, or express themselves. So yeah. As you can tell, I'm a rookie too. But I wanted to ask about the fear of public speaking in general. Glossophobia, I think the term is, and so it's a very real phobia, obviously. But How is it caused?
Right. So let's build on this. Let's start with the first culprit in the room. It's because of complex language like this, man, that we're scared of public speaking.
Mm,
Glossophobia, extemporaneous speech, blah, 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 blah. All these academics kind of make all this stuff so harder than it needs to be. Whereas let's simplify this down. Where does the fear of public speaking come from? Pretty simple when you think about it. Where do we give most of our presentations? Whether you're a 50-year-old executive or a 7-year-old in school, the answer remains the same. Most of where you learned communication was in the education system.
mm.
Think about it. Every single presentation we've given in our lives is mandatory. We don't wake up one morning and go, "Hey, Harry, you want to eat some breakfast and present all day?"
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're the first person that replied "yeah" when I answered that question. When I asked the question, like in every show I've been on. But that's the thing. I'm probably one of 4 people in the country who says that. Most of us, well, we don't. So in that education system where we're forced to present, 3 things happen. 1, we never get to pick the topic. Think about your history classes where you had to speak about the Renaissance.
No.
And you're sitting here thinking it's like a fruit. You're
Hmm.
like, what is this? So that's 1. You never get to pick the topic. And if you do, it's generally something you don't like, anyways. Number 2, students. Students don't care to listen to you. Not because you're a bad speaker, though, because they got to talk about Egypt 10 minutes after you present. So they're not focused on what Harry is talking about, Mr. Harry Potter, but rather they're biting their own nails, going like, "What's the capital of Egypt?" Like there's, right? They're not paying attention to you. It's not their fault. Number 3, teachers. Teachers are very well intentioned, very well educated, right? We owe a lot to the teachers in our society, but the issue is that they're also very stressed. You have 60 students in a classroom, and you got to get all of them to present one at a time for your grades. Do you really have time to coach them?
No.
Right. So let's recap. In 100% of the presentations you've given in your life, you've presented topics you don't care to students who don't care to listen to you, to teachers who don't have time to coach you. And this behavior gets repeated on and on and on. If you're at school, it's tied to a grade. And if you're at work, it's tied to a result. And if you fail at any part of that journey, you get punished for it, whether it's a promotion you don't get or a lower grade. So, what's the punchline, Harry? The punchline is simple. The fear of public speaking has nothing to do with us, but rather the system in which we grew up learning it in the first place. And once we start to change the perception that we have as public speaking as a chore to public speaking as a way to make our lives better, that's when we start the conversation.
Very nice. Yeah, no, definitely. I remember, oh my god, dude, like getting ready for a presentation, like sitting at your desk, you're like, I would rather not be here ever again. There's like that huge feeling of dread, and it does carry on throughout life. Even when you're talking about something that you're passionate about or you're interested about, there's still that little feeling behind in the back of your head going like, I'm getting graded, or like, oh no, I'm gonna slip up. I'm dreading this so much. So it's like just constantly there.
100% completely agreed, man.
Man, so my next question, there was a report that came out this September, and it kind of showed that it studied 7 different countries. So it studied China, Brazil, Indonesia, United States, Thailand, and Vietnam. And it was found that social anxiety in these 7 countries was found in 36% of the people that were being studied, which was significantly higher than was previously reported. So, why is this becoming such a significant issue now? Because I know the system causes it, but why is it all of a sudden increasing?
I really should have checked out that report before this interview. No, I'm kidding. Just messing with you. But the point I want to drive here, Harry, I'm not big on percentages, 36, 39. For me, I think most people have social anxiety.
Mhm.
Almost everyone. Even for somebody like me, I'm an extra extrovert. I'm always at every party, every event. I still have that social anxiety. I think the better question we need to ask ourselves here is not why is it increasing, but why is it there for most people?
Mm,
And how can we manage that anxiety better for especially for people where it's preventing them from achieving their goals and dreams? So for me, the way that we can start this conversation is by thinking about what does it mean to build relationships with people. Most individuals, when we think about relationship building, it sounds something like this. Well, I'm going to this event and I got to talk to all these people and I hope everyone likes me, right? But the real way of thinking about it is let's play out the following scenario. Let's say, Harry, you meet one new person every couple of days. You'll probably meet more people. You're more charismatic than most people, sure. Right? But let's say, give or take 100 people, right? And
mhm.
let's say you live 50 more years. Pretty sure you'll live longer. But let's just assume it's 50 for the sake
50
of the
max.
conversation.
No, I'm kidding. I'm
Let's
kidding.
hope, man. I'm hoping for you, man. You live in Canada, so you should be living a while. But anyways, so 50 times 100 people is 5,000 people. So what does that mean? That means the question to ask yourself is not how do I get everyone to like me, but rather who do I want those 5,000 people to be?
Mm,
Out of the sea of billions of people you will meet in your life, you will only have the chance to interact with 5,000. That's it. And when you think of it from that frame of mind, your social anxiety change it still is there, but the way that you interact with people will change. So then you'll say, wait a second, why am I at this cocktail? So stupid. Like I don't gonna like anybody here. Why don't I go to something I actually care about? I like baking. Why don't I go to a baking class? I like pen collecting. Why don't I go to a pen collecting conference? And it's a lot easier for you to communicate with those types of people because they have the same interests as you. That's the best way to practice social anxiety, and eventually it'll go away.
okay, I see. So so it's there for most people then because they do things that they're not particularly passionate about?
I would say it's there for most people because of the way and how we perceive relationship building. So, for example, if you're like alone at a party, nobody's talking to you, you start to think and tell stories to yourself that it's because you suck or that like you're not somebody who's worth talking to, and you have this negative self-talk. So the only way to counter that is to focus on the people that you're meant to talk to so they can constantly remind you the importance of what it means to put yourself out there.
Mhm.
Does that
Oh,
make sense? So let's
yeah.
say for example, like let's say I have a lot of social anxiety, let's say. But let's say I talk to you at like an event, maybe it's like a bar or like a dinner, and then I go, "Wow, Harry's such a cool guy. He's a good reminder for me as to why I need to come to more events like this. Not so that everyone could like me, so I can meet one jam, two jams at an event, and stay in touch with those people. That's why this relationship building thing is even worth it in the first place. So that's how you get rid of the social anxiety.
Oh, okay. I get that. That makes sense. Um, yeah, so I guess a little bit of imposter syndrome causes social anxiety as well then, thinking like I don't belong here if you're in an area where you're not passionate about and you're not clicking with anyone.
Absolutely. I have that a lot of the times I go to events. That's why I'm a lot more picky these days about where I go and how I do things. And that's what I encourage for all of you. Most of us, we spend our $500 on a vacation in Cuba, and my ask or my reflection point for most people is, yeah, I mean, you could go to Cuba, drink some pina coladas, but I think a better way of thinking about it is saying, how about I use this $500 and go meet the people I'm actually supposed to talk to?
Mm,
Like, I give you a quick example. Like, one of my favorite podcasters of all time is this dude named Lewis House. He's got a podcast called The School of Greatness, and he has an annual event every year in the middle of nowhere. It's like in Columbus, Ohio, every year. And I've always wanted to go. It's like, wow, I wonder what kind of people go there. So I was able to afford it the first time last year. It's not that expensive, like $300.
mm.
And then I get there, and it's like just utopian society where everyone listens to the show. It's so bizarre. So you go up to people and you're just like, "So who's your favorite guest?" And you're like, "Yeah, I watched that one last week about this, this," and I was like, "I thought I was the only one listening to this shit. This is amazing." So I made a bunch of great friends there.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I felt a ton of social anxiety when I was in school because I was in originally I was in animal bio and I wasn't like I liked animals, but animal bio was not my thing and I didn't realize it was like pre-vet program. So like
Oh,
these kids are smart and I was like, man,
oh yeah.
I can't keep up with these guys. And they would be talking about like, some bone in a horse's back or something. I'm like, I don't know what that is. So like every day I'd come to school and like be scared to interact with people and talk because I was like, they're gonna think I'm so stupid because I couldn't relate to anything they said.
Dude, like, I love how like it plays so well into the examples. Like you like have a real life example of each of my teaching points. You're like, yeah, bro, I was in this thing, and I didn't want to be a vet, and like, it was scary, scary.
Dude. I oh man, it was so funny because the first day I went to Guelph. If
Oh
you
yeah, yeah, yeah. Of
Yeah.
course, I went to Guelph 2 years ago actually
Oh, really?
for
For
my
a
last
presentation?
competition. Yeah, it was my last competition. It was at Guelph. Yeah,
Oh, no way. Um, Best school ever. Not biased at all, but
nothing happens there, but sure.
no, it's dead.
It's just like,
We ride horses and study
oh
cat.
yeah, that part's cool for sure.
Yeah. But so I had applied to animal bio because I loved animals. And then when I get there, they had all of the animal bio students in a room, like the first day of classes and whatever. And so the people next to me, there were these two girls sitting next to me, and they looked over and they're like, "Hey, what vet school are you thinking of applying to?" I was like, "What?" And then the whole presentation was just applying to vet school and they were making vet jokes and the whole classroom was laughing and I would be like looking around like what they would
You're
make
like, ha ha ha
yeah.
ha.
I was like, oh, like I didn't know what to say because like these, they're like talking about how to apply to vet school, things vets know, all these vet jokes, and I was like, oh my god, this is gonna be 4 years of death. It was terrible. No offense to the vet students because I could
But
never
you
deal with it.
stayed there for 4 years. You didn't switch
No,
programs.
no, I switched programs in my second year because, and I remember because okay, here's the thing. This is a
You're
tangent.
lucky you're Canadian, by the way. Jeez.
I know.
Those
I
school fees would have hit
I
you in the
know.
ass if you're
I
in
know.
the
I got
US.
really lucky. This is a little tangent, but whatever. I stuck with it for a year because I'm super stubborn sometimes, and I was like, I'm gonna prove everyone wrong and just get
And become a vet.
and become a vet. Yeah.
I don't think
um,
anyone was holding you to that standard, but sure.
no one was. And then after I was in my second year and I was writing an exam for like what was it? It was like animal physiology. And I remember I was doing terribly in the course. And I was in that exam and I was looking at the questions and there were things I've never heard of. And I'm sitting there in the exam going, I'm dropping out. And then I walk out of the exam and I switch majors like in the hallway. I was like, I'm done. Like that was the last straw. I got 50 in the class. I passed. I got through it, but man, yeah, no. And then I just switched to normal bio, and that worked. So, man,
Nice.
yeah. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but what's my next question for you? I feel like when I present, there's a huge difference between obviously there's a huge difference between when I presented before and when I present now with Zoom classes. So how does presenting to clients and classes differ from in person to now, and how does this impact one's performance?
Yep, for sure, man. So the biggest difference between online and offline presentations is that you can't gauge your audience's reaction on a Zoom call. So let's say I'm at Guelph giving you a workshop with your class. Well, two things are going to happen when I say a joke. One, you'll either laugh at the joke and go, haha, Brendan's so funny. Or two, which is much more likely, you'll look at me and go, man, this dude is, he's just not, he just doesn't have it. He's just not a funny guy. But either way, I can adapt. I can see how everyone's reacting to it and I can change my tune. When you're on a Zoom call with all their camera, everyone's cameras are off. You don't really get to do that. And that, my friend, is the challenge of online presentations. So how do you fix this? Couple of things you can do. One is keep your eyes on the camera lens at all time. So one way you can do this is take like a picture of somebody that you love, put it next to the lens, or put like a favorite food or something, and so it'll force you to always look at the camera. That's one thing you could do. Number two is after you can look at somebody in the camera lens, you can get on a call with somebody that's going to be in the audience. So that way you can get a better idea of who that person is and you know how to speak better to them. So it's much easier for you to draw out your energy even when you're presenting in a basement like I am right now. That's two. And then number three is always assume good intentions from your audience. And I started presenting on podcasts. It's a very bizarre relationship. You're talking to a stranger you've never met who does a healthy amount of research on you, and you just have to answer as if you know them your whole life. That's essentially what a podcast is. So at the beginning, you can imagine especially when I was starting in my mother's basement, people would have me on shows and they'd be like, "So, Brenden, where does the fear of public speaking, glossophobia, come from, anyways?" And I go, I don't really know, man. I'm just a dude. Like, leave me alone." But over time, because and then as I have more conversations with the host after the show, and I realize everyone's pretty nice,
Mhm.
right? The perception that I have of my audience changes. It goes from who's this Harry guy from London who actually isn't from London, Ontario, right? To Harry is such a nice guy. Look at him; he's adding so much value to his local communities in Ontario. So I might as well add value to his show. It sounds like a fun opportunity. So notice how the perception changes. Not an overnight process, obviously,
Mhm.
but something that'll eventually become true for you.
Yeah, yeah, that would make such a huge difference. I was the same way even when I started this show, like, I'd almost, like, feel anxious when people would come on because 'cause I'm like, "They're gonna come on and just rip me apart." 'Cause I don't know why. I was like,
Hey
"It's my
Harry, your
show."
hat's real stupid, bro. Kidding, kidding. Shit. Oh, that's some nice hair, actually. Not bad, not bad.
Thank you, thank you. I did have one
Congrats.
guy, this boxer, he came on,
The
and
fuck?
yeah, and at the beginning, I wore, like, a different hat and, like, a scar I dressed up, and he like
Oh, you had like a tie on?
a scarf. No, no tie, no tie.
Oh, okay. I
I
was like,
thought
damn.
I was trying to stand out, and I
From
and this
who?
I don't know, man, and this guy comes on, and he's like, "Take that fucking scarf off." He's he's like, "I never wanna see that shit again." I was like, "Oh, fuck."
So, whoa. That guy doesn't do a lot of shows, probably.
Oh, man. He was a nice guy, but that was so
Really?
yeah, I was dying. I was like, "Man, I just got roasted on my own
What
show."
the
Oh, I wish
Oh.
that footage didn't work out. I wish it did, but,
Oh my god, that would've been worth like $1,000,000 right there.
I know when the audio didn't come through, I was so mad, but,
Oh yeah, that would have popped on like Instagram or TikTok, man. Forget it.
TikTok just roasting me apart, that'd be great.
It just would have
Um
built.
Oh my god, dude. Yeah, no, the way you look at things makes a huge difference. I completely agree. That when I did that switch personally, that's when I got more confident with guests coming on.
Absolutely, man.
So what? the other thing I wanted to talk to you about, what are some of the methods that you give clients with MasterTalk in regards to public speaking?
I'll give you the easiest one that anyone can implement. It's called the puzzle method. Public speaking is a lot like a jigsaw puzzle, Harry. So you know those jigsaw toys you kind of get at Toys R Us and stuff. You kind of put them together in a.
Yeah.
So if I asked you, let's say you're doing a jigsaw puzzle yourself, which pieces would you start with first and why?
Uh, the corners.
What would your rationale be? Don't worry, it's not a trick question.
Yeah. Well, you just know where to put them.
Yeah, exactly. It's just easy, right? Because they got those little edge things on them.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the strategy that most puzzlers do is they start with the edges, then they work their way into the middle. So the question we need to ask ourselves is why don't we do that in public speaking? We have a presentation at work, we have a presentation in the boardroom, the classroom. So what do? Start the middle first. We shove a bunch of content. Then we get to the presentation. We ramble. We get to the last slide, and it sounds something like this. Oh, yeah, so thanks. That's probably 95% of all the presentations I've seen. But the best part is it's easy to fix, man. Think of your presentations like a puzzle. Start with the edges first. Practice your introduction 50 times, not 3 times, not 5 times. Do it 50 times. It's actually not that hard. It'll take you an hour. Same thing with the conclusion. What's a great movie with a terrible ending? Last time I checked, terrible movie, right? So, same thing. 50 times for the conclusion in 2 hours of practice. It'll change your life because you'll look at your presentation and go, wow, really good at this public speaking thing. Now let me tackle the middle. There you go. Bingo. So do the same thing in your life. Start with the edges first. Focus on one presentation. So for you, my recommendation is make a presentation on your own podcast because
Mhm.
you can share that with your university students. You can go present it. But the beauty of that type of presentation, Harry, is that you can present the same shit over and over again.
Right.
And that's what the best speakers do in the world.
So they just practice the intro and conclusion?
Yeah, but more in just to add more detail, they present the same thing all the time. So I don't know if you
Oh,
know who Tony Robbins is. Tony Robbins, like, but anyways, he's like a big life coach. He's been doing the same damn seminar for 40 years. Same thing with Gary Vaynerchuk. He's been doing the same damn keynote for like 12 years. Like literally the same thing. Hey guys, from Belarus and Russia came to the States. You guys got any questions for me? It's literally the same thing, and that's why he knocks it out. Same thing with me. Is it magical that I just happen to know how to answer every single question so eloquently and wonderfully? No, no, no. It's because it's not the first time I'm answering these questions.
right. Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
It's all about practice, 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 practice.
the
Get
same topic.
right. Yeah, that's the thing, right? You throw a curveball in there, it's like, oh.
Right, because we practice all the time in university. It doesn't work. Why? Because we don't care about our content. We just
Mhm.
care about getting through the day. If you got a presentation in animal bio, well, you're not worried about that presentation. You just want to get through it because you got the non-animal bio one tomorrow,
Right.
right? So you're just knocking presentations out. You're not actually sitting there and saying, "How do I make this presentation exceptional?"
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So I actually just watched the movie The King's Speech. And I was like, "Oh, this actually applies pretty well." But so there's a scene in that movie where Colin Firth is getting these exercises for, his speech problem. Have you seen the movie?
No, you're drawing out a lot of interesting facts I should probably know, but keep going.
He's like this king and he has to make announcements and he can't because he's got this social anxiety and he's like stuttering. So so he does like this set of exercises where like to speak better, he does like what does he do? He does like breathing techniques, he does exercise like physical exercises and all of these things. So is like the solution to public speaking, is it accurately represented in film and art?
Whoa, dude, you're asking some really deep questions, but I got to think about that one. I don't think so personally. In general, maybe
Mhm.
King's Speech is different, But I would say in general, the answer is no, because we stigmatize public speaking in the wrong way. You know, that whole death thing started with Seinfeld. Not many people know that. It was a joke in a Seinfeld episode on how you would rather be the person in the casket than giving the speech of the guy in the casket.
Yeah,
It's like a joke Seinfeld did a couple of years ago. And I don't agree with that kind of stuff. Like, I honestly don't think most people are scared more of public speaking than dying. Like, it makes no sense to me in my
probably.
head. Yeah, it's kind of like an exact. Obviously, it helps our business, right? But that's what I'm trying to break, right? It's like that's why a lot of these guys in my industry they make a shit ton of money. I'm not an exception. I do well for myself too. But at least I share my content out for free for people who can't afford me, right? And I think the key here is I think arts and science can do a better job at using empowering language in regards to communication. The same way, by the way, Disney has intentionally created over the last couple of years women as thought leaders, as power characters in the shows, rather than just the boys. Right, and you see that with movies like Frozen and I believe Arch, like that Archer,
Oh,
Arrow,
Brave.
Arrow, Arrow,
Brave.
Arrow. Brave, that's it. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big Disney guy. But as the point is, except the old stuff. Like, but anyways, the point I'm driving is because they're archetyping these main characters as females, they serve as good role models for young girls growing up watching this stuff. We need to think about the same logic with communication instead of just when every time we hear communication in a show, it's always like, oh my god, like I'm so like socially anxious, my life is die, I'm gonna die. It's like shut up, let's just figure this out, like let's all relax and
Yeah.
make this more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, you look in a movie and they have to do a speech. You're like, oh, and then you're watching. You're like, yeah, I should feel like that.
I think I have to hire you as my chief content creator. You got a lot of cool ideas, a lot of angles I'm not thinking through. So you shoot me like a bunch of like more ideas. I have to watch King's speech, but I'll check the other stuff out that you're mentioning.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no. So I don't. So what can people? I guess you already answered this question because you offer your services free online, right?
That's true. Like I obviously have like a private coaching thing, but that's mostly for executives. So honestly, my recommend because it seems like it's mostly students who are listening to this, right? So my recommend is join a Toastmasters club, which is like a local community. It's like $80 a year or something, and then use my free videos and implement those strategies with your club because the key is community, right? And you can also do debate club if you're in business school listening to this at Guelph. They're huge school. Do case competitions like I did. That's how I learned communication and how I got to this level. So yeah.
Nice, nice. So yeah, my question was just going to be like, what can people do to get these services if they need them, if they can't afford them? But you already provide that, so that's great. My last two questions don't actually have anything to do with public speaking or speaking in general.
Oh, good man. Ask away.
They're just two questions that I'm asking everyone in this season of my show.
As long as it's not about animal bio, I got you.
Dude, I wouldn't even be able to answer it. So you're okay. You're okay. Um, so what is the spine of a horse called? No, I'm kidding. So
Oh, I thought you were serious. I was like, is this an analogy to
no,
something
no,
else?
no, no, just completely out of left field.
There you go.
Um, so with this pandemic that's going on, there's been multiple reports. No surprise, of course, here that mental illness cases that have been reported have increased, substance abuse has increased, domestic abuse has increased, and a large portion of all of these numbers increasing can be linked tightly to the huge amount of job loss around the world, the fear mongering that the media loves to provide us, personal loss, and this growing uncertainty because we're like over here we're going into another lockdown and no one like yeah there's like light at the end of the tunnel but it's still like what the fuck is going on, so everyone's like in a frenzy. So where do we go from here in your opinion, and how do we stop these numbers from rising?
Interesting question. I'll shoot a different angle since I'm not an expert. But what I would say is in regards to mental health, I think there's one thing that you can do, whether there's one pandemic or 10 pandemics, it doesn't really matter. And that thing that almost no human being does. I think I'm the only person I've met who actually does this exercise.
Mhm.
Take a piece of paper, okay, your mobile phone, whatever, for the kids out there, and write down the list of things that actually make you happy. Like actually make you happy. I'll give you an example. I'll share mine. I love clubbing. It's probably one of my favorite hobbies in the world. I literally just go club for 7 hours straight. I don't drink. I just enjoy myself. I'm like the worst person ever in a club. I'm just such a waste of money for the owner. I just walk in and I walk out. It's like the stupidest thing, right? So
So
that's
people are
one.
like,
Yeah, it's just like he just doesn't buy anything. It's just so that's one. The second thing is what's the other thing? Oh yeah, karaoke in 8 different languages. That's the second thing. I yell at my friends over dinner at restaurants over controversial topics, and I like sleeping. Like these are things that bring me joy. But notice, besides the sleeping part, if you're reading this list, you're thinking, "Holy crap! I would never do any of this. Karaoke, dancing, this is all not my thing." And that's my point, dude. Where's your list? Most people rely on other people's definition of what brings them joy, and I think that's what screws them up and causes all of these issues in the first place. There's another cool thing that I'd love to talk about, since people are in their early 20s.
yeah,
This
please.
whole stigma behind living with your parents, where it's like, oh yeah, after you graduate, you gotta like move out, and what, pay $1,000 a month in rent? Like, it's just such a COVID and job. Dude, I'm loving COVID honestly in one way or another because I lived at my mother's house forever and I still do. We don't have any money problems. We don't have any stress. Don't listen to what society tells you is the right answer, the wrong answer. Oh, Brenden lives with his mother. Who's going to want to date him? Like all these stories that we tell ourselves that are just nonsense, right? That's what my opinion is, regardless if there's COVID or Brexit or anything, whatever you want. Be very clear about the direction you want to go in life, and it won't matter what gets in your way because you'll get to the finish line intact.
Love that. Yeah, definitely. Come on, man. Anyone, how old are you?
I'm 24.
24. Okay. Anyone from like 25 to like 20, it's okay to live with your parents. Like,
Dude, at 27, I'm still living with my parents, bro.
my dad was like, "So when are you gonna move out?" And I'm 22. He's like, "When are you gonna move out?" I'm like, "Man, I don't 30. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
that's the
expensive."
key, bro. Keep your money, save it.
Man, like houses over here in my little town of Brooklyn, like they're going for 1.1, 1.2 million. Like,
Fuck
I
that.
I can't afford that.
Dude, you're a dude sort of in animal bio, sort of in bio.
I can't do that. Oh man, yeah, no, I completely agree. That whole stigma around living with your parents, but also like focusing on what other people's opinion of what you should be doing is definitely, it can be really taxing because then you're worried about what other people will think about your every move, and you're like under a microscope your whole life. It's exhausting.
Exactly.
Man, yeah. And then, so my last question for you. I've been getting a lot of people reaching out to me, particularly in the last couple months, because they've been feeling super stressed or super anxious about the fact that they haven't done anything quote unquote significant during this pandemic. And if you can remember, uh, near the beginning of the pandemic, it feels like 10 years ago, but near the beginning, when everything started getting shut down officially, there were people on Instagram, like all these big guys going, seize the moment. And now's your time to be successful. Now's your time to kill it. Like Gary V kind of guys, you know what I mean?
That's my boy.
Like just pounding it. So, and then these people, they're sitting here and they're realizing like it's been 9 months and I've done nothing, because it's some, like, one thing all these accounts and all these people didn't really acknowledge was the traumatic effect that COVID had on pretty much all of us, because we didn't know what it was. And so, these people, the best option for them is to rest, but then they rest and they realize it's been 9 months. I haven't made $1 million. Like, so then they get super stressed and anxious. So what would you want to say to people who may be feeling that way?
I'm just really disappointed all of them. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just joking. The message I have for people that I think most people don't get is you can make money anytime. Okay, you're gonna get a job eventually, whether it's at McD's or whether it's as something more high paying. It doesn't matter. You can't buy back your time. A lot of people think 2020 is canceled. They go, "Oh yeah, it's canceled." As you go to a bank and get a loan back for it. Could you increase my lifespan another year? Would you, Harry? Wave your magic wand and kind of help me out here. But no, the truth is, it's not going to happen. So the question you always need to ask yourself is, how are you going to reinvest the time? And reinvesting the time doesn't necessarily mean starting a side hustle, building $1 million business, doing all this stuff. No, it means for the goals that you want in your life, are you moving towards them? Not the goal that Gary Vee never says that also. He kind of just gives the impression of that, but it's not true. But the other people that you refer to, those Tai Lopez or whatever,
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
"Oh yeah, you got to make that money, right?" And but that's their goals. What's it for you? What matters for you personally? Like for me, at the end of the day, I'm similar to that. Maybe not the millionaire part. Obviously, money's great and everything. But for me, it's like I want to grow the YouTube channel. I don't
Mhm.
care if I don't make a dime off of it. I still haven't, by the way. I've been losing a lot of money on the channel. It's more about thinking like, hey, I want to bring this to more people. So how do I do that? If I can't do speaking engagements anymore, because my whole business pretty much just exploded on me after COVID hit, I couldn't fly for events anymore. What can I do instead? Okay, I can do podcasts. I can create my content years in advance. I can promote it in other ways. Let me move that goal forward, not to be a millionaire, but the goal is you need to figure out what is it that you want. And it could easily be, by the way, that what you want is, wife, 2 kids, simple life. That's fine too. But the habit I recommend people ask themselves to help them discover what their goals are, not what other people say their goals should be, is ask yourself a hard question about life every single day. What are you pretending not to know? If you had all the money in the world, how would you spend your time? If you died tomorrow, what would your funeral speech say about you? It's these questions that lead to insights, and those insights lead to your own truth. In the same way, my truth is, yeah, I love clubbing, but I'm also trying to build a communication tool that everyone in the world can learn from. You can be both of those people,
Mhm.
right? So, in the same way, for you who's listening, find that for you. Find that version of insanity for yourself.
Love it, man. Yeah, no, the funeral questions hit hard every time. You see, like, you see it, you see people take a mental step back when you ask it. You're like, "What would your funeral speech say?" They're like,
They're like,
"I don't know."
shit, I shouldn't have went to Guelph. You're like, huh. I'm joking. Everyone's so great. I love your team chant too, but anyway, sorry. Off
Oh,
topic.
thank you. Yeah, yeah, we try our best. We gotta have something, right? No, I'm kidding. I love Guelph if you're watching.
Me too, honestly.
Griffins for
Great,
life.
great spot. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, well, Brendan, this has been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, man, for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Dude, pleasure was mine, man. Thanks for having me.
Where can my viewers find you?
Of course. Very easy. All you got to do is go on YouTube and type Master Talk in one word, and you'll find me right there.
Perfect, man. And with that, we are done. Are you coming to Guelph anytime soon? Once COVID?
Never again, man. I literally went to Guelph. I chanted, "Oh, it's hot in here. There must be griffins flying out of the atmosphere." And we did that for 3 days, and then we left. We never went back.
Okay.
We're just never coming back to Guelph.
Love it,
I'm
man.
sorry.
Well,
So
if you're
sorry.
back in the province, I would
But
love.
you're definitely going to come back to Montreal.
I
right?
come
'Cause
to
of my
Montreal
family.
every year, so I'll
There you go.
we'll be in touch.
There you go.
All right, man. And to all my viewers, I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, thanks for watching another episode of my show. If you want more episodes of the H Panel, the button's going to be right here. If you want to subscribe for more videos from myself, it'll be right down below. Please like, comment, share, give 5 stars. Let's keep this conversation going, guys, all right? I'll see you next time. Thank you for your support.